What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing great today. Today we're going to be talking about my 5 favorite flies for springtime, because it's coming up. Hang out with me. Alright, so we're coming into my favorite time of year for getting out and going fly fishing. Springtime, everything starts warming up. I mean, it's February. It's the last of February right now, so it's going to start warming up here in the next few weeks. It normally really turns on about the middle of March. For everybody that doesn't know, you can't fish hatchery supported streams during March. I'm not really sure why, but it's just the regulations. So that time of year I mainly focus on delayed harvest and wild streams, even though the wild streams might not be as productive. So let's get into my favorite flies for springtime delayed harvest. Number 1 has got to be the simple nuclear egg. It's just a simple tie. It's a simple fly. There's 2 steps to it and it's done. So why do fish eat it? Not real sure. It's bright. They grew up eating fish pellets, so that might be why. I mean, that's kind of shaped like a fish pellet. Back when I used to use live bait and that kind of stuff, we used to use salmon eggs and all that kind of stuff to catch trout, because for whatever reason they love them. This past weekend I got my butt handed to me on the West Fork of the Pigeon. I didn't catch squat, but everybody that I talked to that was actually catching fish was actually fishing that color of an egg. And I was fishing this color. It's a dark pink. It normally does pretty good for me, but apparently they wanted orange that day. You know, hey, whatever. They didn't. There was a good mayfly hatch about lunchtime. Couldn't get them to eat a dry fly. Couldn't get them to eat a pheasant tail, which is a mayfly nymph. Some days that happens. Speaking of pheasant tails, that's my number 2 fly, especially for springtime fishing. Mayflies start coming off. A pheasant tail can be wicked. It's an old pattern, I know. There's newer patterns come out, but there's a reason that pattern has been so popular for 100 years. Third is kind of a Frenchy pattern. This one is a black body with a blue hotspot ring in the front, and I've actually put a tail on this one. I normally don't fish them with a tail. That was just one that I had been tying, you know, testing out. 4th fly is one that apparently I've borrowed from somebody. It's modified a little bit, and I didn't know it until the other day. This is actually a Kelly Galloup fly. I've watched his fly tying videos for a long time, and apparently I'd never seen this video, but apparently he had rubbed off on me, because I tied the exact same fly about a year ago that he calls the woolly Sculpin. It's a killer. You can fish it like a streamer, you know, just ripping it. You can dead drift it like a nymph. You can take it into slack water and pop it up the river. You can rip it down the river. It just absolutely works all over the place. Speaking of Kelly Galloup, another one of his flies that I have adapted more for the East Coast is his found link. I do a few things differently than he does. I actually add dubbing to the body. He leaves it just natural deer hair. From there, I leave it pretty much the same. This is the only fly that got any looks from any fish last weekend, and it was a killer. There was a nice light Hendrickson hatch going on. Saw fish feeding, saw them rising, saw them eating nymphs down below and emergers, but I didn't have any that size. All I had was size 12s, and what was coming off was size 16 to 14. So I figured, what the heck, throw it. And it got a couple of looks, but every time it got a look, it got a refusal. So no dry fly eat. You know, I hope you guys liked this video. I'm actually going to be doing a series over the next couple of weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, on how to tie these flies. If you want to see how I tied that Frenchie variant, I'll link to that up here. I tied it with a CDC coat, and it's in the Peacock Eye and Chartreuse version. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. Consider subscribing. It would really mean a lot. And I will see you guys next time out on the water and in the woods. Peace, y'all.